This video is sponsored by Checkmate Magazines. Checkmate Industries is the largest OEM handgun magazine manufacturer in the U.S. They have been manufacturing OEM magazines for the most popular brands for years. These are 2011 mags, however, they produce magazines for SIG, Smith & Wesson, Beretta M9 series, Desert Eagles, and M1A M14 mags. Each Checkmate magazine is 100% developed in the U.S., backed by a lifetime warranty to ensure superior performance, reliability, quality, fit, and finish. See everything they offer at checkmatemagazines.com.
Checkmate Mags, getting it done.
Hey there, friends. Thanks for checking in. You read that title correct. I bought the HK CC9 and I regret it. Now, I remember when this was first introduced in October of 24, a lot of people said that is late to the party. And as a guy from HK said, well, we're late to the prom, but we brought the prettiest girl. And so I said, well, if that's the prettiest girl, then perhaps I want to date her. And so I picked up the HK CC9. Very hard to get, more on the expensive side. It's available with a Howison or without. I clearly went with. You're looking at between $800 and $900 with the optic, between $600 and $700. It's more on the pricey side, but let me run down what this gun offers, what it comes with. Give me 1 minute to do that. We come right back and I'll tell you why I regret buying this handgun. If you go to CC9, it'll come in this cardboard box, and then this wrap will be around it. Gives it a lot of color. And then it has this bag, nylon bag, pretty nice. In this pocket here, it has a cover plate, the Howison paperwork, and the Allen tool, a lock, and one additional back strap. Here's the 10 round mag, here's the 12 round mag, and then there is this HK piece that sticks to the Picatinny rail. I actually like that. I think that is a good look. But you do get this nice range bag. Now, this is, well, we could call it a micro, we could call it a subcompact, we could call it many things, but it is a double stack 9mm handgun, 3.3 inch barrel. The features are pretty nice. You can get it with the Howison or without. I clearly went with. It has a 12 and 10 round magazine, nice trigger pull, right at that 5 pound mark. Decent reset right there, pretty nice. And the serrated black and serrated front sights are there. It's got the forward serrations. It has a modular grip frame. So you can take out the trigger chassis and all that in there. And then perhaps aftermarket companies will produce another grip module. The first reason I regret buying this, and this falls 100% on me, I'm not blaming HK. I appreciate the fact that this is USA made and produced. The only thing that came from Germany is the cold hammer forged barrel. That's it. The rest was made in Georgia. It was tested extensively with thousands of rounds, and they said they made this right. They did a great job with it. Okay, fine. But I do think it's too expensive. If you look at what else is out there, and I'm not saying they're the same, but what I am saying is it's about $125 to $150 too much. And so I knew that going in. I was willing to pay that. I was not willing or accepting to make this video at the time, because it's when I took it to the range when I had some of the greatest disappointments, but I'm getting there. The magazine release is ambidextrous, so is the slide stop. The issue I have is that because you have a magazine release that is ambidextrous, it is extremely stiff, very stiff. I had the same problem with my FNS 9C. You have to change the grip angle. So if I'm shooting and I want to do a quick mag change, I have to change the grip angle to really push down. I have to use the pointy part of my thumb to do that. Well, it's ambidextrous. I'm going to take this over to the table so that you can see a little closer. Here's the 12 round mag, unloaded handgun. The CC9 has an ambi magazine release and slide stop. All right, a ambi magazine release is not always a great thing. It depends. Many times it's very stiff, and the CC9 is extremely stiff. So if I want to drop the mag, I have to turn. I can't do it. I have to really turn to get to that part of my thumb to push in to drop the mag. You say, well, just use the trigger finger. Okay, so I drop my trigger finger. Even that, I have to turn the grip to a different angle and push really hard. I think HK would have been better suited making a reversible magazine release, okay, instead of making it ambi right out of the case. Here is the 12 round mag, and I have 11 rounds loaded up. Here's the last round. I cannot get this thing in there no matter how hard I push down to allow me enough space to slide this round in. It's just not going to work if I go like this. So I have to use my speed loader. That's not too unusual. Sometimes springs loosen up, many times they don't. Just keep in mind, if you go with the CC9, you're going to have to use your speed loader to get the mag to its fullest capacity. The same thing with the 10 round. The CC9 grip texturing is pretty smooth. It's not aggressive at all, and the purpose for that is, for those who carry, it won't rub up against the skin as much. But when I took this to the range, it was a hot, steamy day. My hands were sweating big time, and I was having trouble holding on to the gun the way I wanted to, like I would with the Springfield Armory Hellcat. This has adaptive grip texturing. It's all around. I've never had a problem with this. It's a little more aggressive, but not overly aggressive. I don't think this would irritate the skin. But this was noticeably looser in my hands than it should have been. Okay, people say I have large hands. You know, I had a nice grip on the gun, but I just felt certain points on my hand slipping. And I think if they made the grip texturing a little more gritty, then that would help. This needs a Talon grip. When this was launched, it came with a tritium front night sight. This is not. This is serrated black. It is metal. Okay, it's serrated black. So if your background is dark, it'll be hard to pick up. It just will, if you don't go with an optic especially. So they have a cover plate. If you go with the optic, whatever, you can go with just iron sights, obviously, but it will be hard to pick up. The tritium front dot is a cost savings to remove that, but the cost savings falls on the back of you and me, and I already said I think it's overpriced. So that one's on me too, because I knew what I was getting and I knew that the magazine release was tight, but it's starting to pile up because there's a couple other things that have really irritated me since purchasing this handgun. The biggest issue I have with the HK CC9 is that I could not settle into it at the range. Now, it didn't help that I was shooting two full-size handguns next to this, or with it, in the group I brought out that day. But sometimes you take a gun out of the case and it feels at home. You sight the optic in, which I did with this and two others that day. I just couldn't settle into it. When I find my aim point and I would be on target, I would transition to the other one and I would be off. And this was going on. So what do? You tweak the dot a little bit, you play around, you start wondering if all the mechanics are going well, you're doing things the way you should. And I came up with the answer that yes, I was. I could not settle into this. This would not be the first time that has happened with new handguns. Sometimes I've taken them out the first time, I didn't like it, I took it out again and I fell in love with it. I'm hoping that's the case with this, but I have to say, I left the range extremely frustrated with the CC9. It was the exact opposite of what I was expecting, and the opposite of the other HKs that I've owned. Now, you may say, well, you just don't understand HK. Well, let me tell you, I have the VP9, I have the HK 45, I've had the USP, the P2000, the P30, the P30SK, now the CC9. I didn't regret acquiring any of those until I got the CC9. And so we'll see how this works out. I think the trigger is pretty nice. No issue there. Nice reset. All right, brakes right around 5 pounds. The mechanics, pretty good. It's not snappy like so many people say. Oh, that's snappy. I don't feel that it's snappy. It's heavier. It's about 4 ounces heavier than a Springfield Armory Hellcat with an optic. All right, so it's a little bit more on the heavy side, but overall, it seems to check the boxes until you take it to the range and you can't settle into it. I found that extremely frustrating. I found myself irritated with the gun, irritated with myself, irritated with the range and my targets and whatever other excuse I could come up with. But that is why I regret buying the HK CC9. If that changes, I will let you know and come back on here and say I love it or I learned to like it or whatever the status is at that time. But I just have to be real with you and say I'm not going to say buyer beware because I know other people love them, but I will say there are some things on this that is not quite as it was advertised. If you like videos like this, please subscribe and share. I always appreciate the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching, and you guys be safe.